The Call of Duty series is one of the most influential and best-selling series in the history of the medium, and now we have reached the end of the PS4 and the Xbox One generation, and are now moving into the PS5 and the Xbox Series X generation. I thought I should take a look back at this generation of Call of Duty and rank all the games from my least favourite to my favourite. So this is just my own personal list, my own personal ranking of the games, starting from Call of Duty Ghosts and ending with Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. This is just my own personal list, and I certainly do have some personal takes when it comes to Call of Duty, but I'm a big fan of the series. I've played the majority of the games, and I've played them all a lot, and I feel like that this series is one I definitely have a fair share of opinions on. So with all that said and all that addressed, let's jump into my ranking of this generation of Call of Duty. Kicking off my list at number 8 is World War II. Now, Call of Duty World War II was a game that I think a lot of people were looking forward to when it was announced. You know, Sledgehammer came out and they said, we're going to take the game back to the roots. We're going to do World War II, where Call of Duty began, and we're going to really refine the formula for the series going forward. But World War II ultimately fell very flat for me as a game. I recently actually played the campaign and finished it all the way through this year, which I had never done before when it was released on PlayStation Plus a few months ago. And the campaign is absolutely fine. I think it's a decent campaign, it's enjoyable. You know, I definitely had a decent time playing it, as I do with pretty much every Call of Duty campaign bar one, which you'll see on this list. But World War II for me, I just feel like this game is very bland and just not very exciting. You know, it was kind of cool initially to go back to the roots, but given the fact that this game came out a year after Battlefield 1, which already did what this game was trying to do, but a year later and in a lot of ways better, this game kind of felt like it was just almost copying Battlefield, which is bizarre given the fact that Call of Duty has normally been the thing that everyone else copies, but it felt like this time Call of Duty was playing catch up. And then the multiplayer was one of the most terrible and broken multiplayers I have played in the history of the series. It was just very uninteresting and also boring and broken. This game just never really hooked me, and that is a big thing. I always try to get to at least Prestige 1 on each Call of Duty game, and I know Prestiges aren't really a thing anymore, but at this time they still were. I think I got to around level 25 in this Call of Duty game multiplayer before I put it down and never played it again, because World War II to me just didn't invest me whatsoever. And then on top of that, the zombies mode was decent, but not exactly anything that's really there to write home about. So for me, World War II, I was incredibly excited about it because it seemed like it was going back to the roots, and going back to World War II was refreshing at the time, and I was a big fan of Sledgehammer following Advanced Warfare. I really liked their work with that game, but this game ultimately fell very, very flat. Even my boy Josh Duhamel, who was a big part of the campaign, couldn't even save this game, and I would follow that man into any battlefield, but even he couldn't save this game. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is everything I hate about Call of Duty personified, and even though this game offends me more than World War II does, what it actually does do, it does quite well in a lot of ways, and therefore I actually like this game really more than World War II, which surprised me, as I thought when I was planning this video I was going to put this game straight at the bottom, but when I thought about it I was like, no, you know what, Black Ops 4, even though it does offend me in a lot of ways, in a lot of other ways I do enjoy what it does. Black Ops 4 already has a bad taste in my mouth because it just didn't even include a campaign. I hate the fact that this game has no single player content, because that is a big reason I play Call of Duty. And I understand I'm in the minority with that, and I understand that the main drawing point of Call of Duty is of course the multiplayer, and of course they were going to focus on that, and it's always been the focus for a lot of years now. But the fact that they completely disregarded the campaign and completely shot in the foot all of the single player Call of Duty people like me, I just felt incredibly betrayed by that, because I was really looking forward to a Call of Duty Black Ops 4 campaign. I think Treyarch are some of the best storytellers in the Call of Duty series, so to see them completely just disregard the campaign entirely, I found kind of offensive, and I really was upset about that choice. However, taking away from that, this game does have a very strong multiplayer component. While it is very similar to the likes of Black Ops 3, which came only 2 years prior, I still really enjoy what this game brought. It was still a really fun multiplayer mode. You know, it really delved in on the specialists, which turned it into more of a hero shooter than what we had seen before, which was definitely an interesting take. And the gunplay, the advanced movement, again, very similar to Black Ops 3, but Black Ops 3 did it very well, and it's done very well here. Also, the maps were also really strong in this game. I really enjoyed all the maps here. And I feel like Black Ops 4's multiplayer was definitely one that I was able to get invested in and play for quite an amount of time. And also the zombies in this game, while I'm not the biggest lover of zombies, not because I don't like it, I actually really like zombies, but I'm just not very experienced with zombies. I did actually play the zombies a fair amount in this game, particularly the map 9 I really enjoyed. I feel like the map of 9 was really unique and really fun and different to what we'd seen before, and definitely something that I was interested to keep going back to and replaying. It was definitely the map I played the most. So for me, Black Ops 4, it does offend me by the fact it doesn't have a campaign, and don't even get me started on Blackout. I feel like the Black Ops 4 is one of the most derivative Call of Duty games in the series, as it kind of looks like they took everything else that was popular at the time and slapped it into one Call of Duty game, even doing Battle Royale, which I'm not even going to hold Battle Royale against this game because I just don't like Battle Royale in general, but I still don't really feel like it was the best in this game. And then they kind of turned it into a hero shooter, which was kind of a remnant of Black Ops 3, and then completely removing the campaign. That was the final nail in the coffin. But like I say, even though I hate the fact that this game was very derivative and doesn't have a campaign, the multiplayer and the zombies components were very strong, and it did actually do what it did very well. Black Ops 3 is a game I have very mixed feelings on, because even though I think that this game is a step above Black Ops 3 because of its campaign and the fact it actually had a campaign, the campaign itself is absolutely atrocious, and I cannot stand it, and I will never play it again. I thought it was dreadful, but overall, as a whole package, I think Black Ops 3 has a lot to offer. I will come back to the campaign in a second. I'll start off by talking about the multiplayer. The multiplayer in Black Ops 3 is absolutely solid. It's really fun. It's a great continuation of what they started in Black Ops 2. I think the advanced movement here was a really nice, refreshing way to do it, because obviously we had Advanced Warfare the year prior, which was very crazy with its advanced movement. This kind of took it down a notch and made it a bit more enjoyable for everybody. And also, I feel like the gunplay was really solid in this one. It kind of took a bit more of a simple approach to it, and it made it a bit more attainable for everybody. And I feel like Black Ops 3 was just a Call of Duty game with a multiplayer that anybody could play and anybody could get behind. And the maps were also strong in this one. I enjoyed all the maps here. There wasn't really many weak links throughout it, especially when the DLCs came in. And Black Ops 3, with its zombies mode, was a bit of a mixed bag, because zombies, for me, as I said, I'm not super invested in the zombie story, but for me, zombies, I think they get better with the DLC, but I don't really want to give them points for that, because that's the DLC, that's not really the full game. The actual map that's included on the disc here, which is Shadows of Evil, I was never really a big fan of. It was a bit too weird for me and a bit too supernatural. I kind of just prefer a more traditional zombie setup. This kind of tried to do a bit too much weird stuff for me. But Black Ops 3 as a whole package, you know, it did actually include a campaign, unlike Black Ops 4. But that isn't really going to give it a pass straight away, because I absolutely despise the campaign here. As I said, I think Treyarch are some of the best storytellers in the Call of Duty series. I do think they can do some of the best stories. If you look at Black Ops 1 and 2, I think they have proven that they can do great stuff. But Black Ops 3 was just so overly convoluted and confusing, and just made literally no sense by the end of it. And Black Ops 3, its campaign, particularly as part of the Black Ops series, just feels like a complete outlier, especially when we get to Black Ops Cold War. You know, even when there are references to Black Ops 2 in that game in some way, shape or form, Black Ops 3 is just an incredibly difficult game to tie in, because they tried to do this incredibly convoluted story, and it just didn't work. Now, granted, I do have a lot of respect for Treyarch for trying something new with this campaign and trying to do something a little bit different. It just didn't work. And even though I hate Black Ops 3 and its campaign, at least it actually had a campaign and actually had some single player content for me to play and enjoy, which places it above Black Ops 4. Call of Duty Ghosts has been notoriously hated on by the Call of Duty fandom for years. While it's not the most hated game in the series, and definitely not the most hated game of this generation, Ghosts is not one that is fondly remembered, and I think that's a bit unfair. While this game isn't exactly the most revolutionary Call of Duty game of all time, and definitely not one that really stands out among its peers, I do feel like Ghosts is a fun time, and one that you can definitely get a lot of enjoyment out of if you allow it. Now, yes, this game isn't really what they sold us. They kind of pitched this game to be this incredibly stealthy Call of Duty game where you're playing as this incredibly tactical stealth guerrilla unit in a destroyed US. And while this game doesn't quite follow through with that, it still delivers a really 10-hour fun campaign that you can easily play and enjoy. This was actually the last game I played on my PS4 before I got my PS5, and I had a blast with it, you know, going back to it. I played it back on PS3, but going back and playing it on PS4, I had a blast with it, you know. I think this game has really fun characters and a really great story, and even though, again, it's a bit too bombastic for what they sold it as, it's still fun nonetheless. The campaign here Again, it's not revolutionary, it's not doing anything new that's really going to make you punch the air with excitement, but I do feel like Ghosts had a really solid one. It did introduce the dog, which, I know the dog has been the cause of many memes over the years, but the dog gameplay, it was interesting, it was different. I don't think it's necessarily good, I don't think it works particularly well, but it was something different and allowed us to use an animal for the first time in the Call of Duty series, which I don't think has even actually ever been done since then. And even though this game, as I said, doesn't quite follow through with its stealthy pitch, there are a few stealthy-esque missions in the game which do make it a little bit different and does deliver some standout missions. Now, the campaign isn't perfect. I do feel like the first half of the campaign is a bit generic and a bit boring and can be a little bit slow at times, and I found it, especially on this most recent replay of it, very much meandering from scene to scene and mission to mission, but the second half of it really picks up and it really kicks off and has some really fun missions and makes it a very memorable campaign, at least in the back half. So for me, the campaign of Ghosts, yeah, it's not exactly what we wanted from it, but what it is still an incredibly fun and exciting Call of Duty campaign, and one of the longer ones too. It's about 10 hours, so it's really fun in that way. But then moving over to the other aspects of the game, the multiplayer of this, not particularly strong, a little bit like World War II. I was never really into this one, I never played it that much, and because my friends didn't really like Ghosts either, we never really played it much at all. We kind of just stuck to Black Ops 2. But Ghosts, it's fine, it's a decent multiplayer, it does the job. It's just, again, a bit like the campaign, not exactly revolutionary or exciting. And the most underrated part about this entire game is the Extinction mode. I can't believe this never went any further than this game. Extinction was a different take on the zombies formula, and it was very different at the time because Infinity Ward were kind of struggling with zombies. They didn't really know how to compete with Treyarch with their zombies mode, so they came up with Extinction, and I think Extinction was really fun. It was different, it was challenging, and it presented a different kind of challenge than what people expected from zombies. It was a lot more tactical. The zombies were very different from what we got with the aliens in this game. The aliens were much quicker, they were a lot more nimble, they could jump and run about pretty much instantly, and that was very scary. And it was a lot more objective based than zombies. I know with zombies, obviously you can have a lot of objectives in it, and that all comes a part of your routine. But here, it's all kind of objective-based missions, and the aliens are just the threat you have to deal with. And I thought that was fun. And given the fact that the next game from Infinity Ward took place in space, I was very shocked that we never got a continuation of the Extinction storyline, because it was actually really good, and I think that it actually delivered something different and fresh that we hadn't seen before in the series, and was a fun playoff mode that could have been built upon more and more with each entry and really became a true competitor for Treyarch Zombies. But unfortunately, every other developer in the Call of Duty series bent, and now pretty much every game has zombies. But still, it's kind of a nice little memory tank to have this game and have Extinction in it. And I think Ghosts overall is a little underrated among the series. Sure, it's not one of the best out there, but it's still a really fun and really exciting Call of Duty game that's fun to go back to with some fun and unique modes. Black Ops Cold War, I have said in my review, is very comparable to the likes of Ghosts and World War II, which makes you think, well, why is it higher than those games on this list? Well, that's simply because even though I do feel like it is comparable to those games due to the lack of excitement in it and how it's not very exciting for the Call of Duty fan to really experience anything new, this game is very solid in what it does. Similar to Black Ops 4, what this game does, it does very well. I feel like the campaign of this game, while not particularly new or fresh, it does deliver a great story with fun Black Ops tie-ins and a interesting gameplay loop that I definitely enjoyed. And I feel like that the multiplayer is very solid. Again, not really fresh or new or exciting, and as I've said many times before, definitely a step down from last year's Modern Warfare. I still feel like it's a great multiplayer and solid one that I will continue to play for the next year until the next Call of Duty game comes out. And the zombies also seems to be a actual new and fresh take on it, which is actually really exciting coming from Treyarch, and something that I'm definitely excited to play more of once I get a few more friends to actually come online and play Cold War with me on PS5. I think it's going to be a really fun one. Now, if you want to see my full thoughts on Black Ops Cold War, you can check out my review, which I did a few days ago. That has my full thoughts on the game. But as of right now, this is where it stands on the list. It could go up, it could go down. Obviously, it's only been out for a few weeks, but for me, Black Ops Cold War, it's a fun Call of Duty game. It's a good entry to the series, just nothing particularly special. Now, Infinite Warfare is easily the most underrated game in the entire series. Infinite Warfare is great, and nobody ever really wants to admit it. And I feel like this game was just a sufferer of bad reactions from the word go, because as soon as the trailer launched for this game, it became the most disliked video in the history of YouTube. I don't believe it currently holds that record, but it certainly did at the time, and that is baffling to me. The fact that the reveal trailer for a Call of Duty game was the most disliked video in the history of YouTube. That is incredible. But Infinite Warfare, because of that harsh reaction, was basically cast out from the word go, and when it came to eventually releasing the game, it just got no attention, and I'd never seen a Call of Duty game like that just die on arrival, especially in a busy FPS market that year where Battlefield was delivering Battlefield 1, which was what fans were asking for, and then we also had Respawn giving Titanfall 2, which was a very fun and surprisingly great campaign that I don't think anybody really saw coming. So Infinite Warfare was kind of lost in the shuffle, and because of the hate for it, nobody really cared, and nobody really gave it a shining light, which I think is criminal, given how great this game is. Infinite Warfare is one of the most unique and fun Call of Duty games I have ever played. The campaign specifically is one of the greatest campaigns in the series, and I will die on that hill. This campaign is fantastic. While it may not have an incredible villain, I think Kit Harington's villain is a bit missing from most of it, I still absolutely love the cast of characters in this. Jack Reyes is a great lead character, one of the best protagonists in the series, and also people complain constantly that Call of Duty doesn't innovate and it's the same game every year. This is one of the only times where Call of Duty has actually truly innovated and people just didn't care, and that completely baffles me. The space setting, sure, it was a bit out there, it was a bit bizarre, but did it work? If you actually gave it a chance, yes, it really did. It really lent itself well to this. And I think that it had a great story, great cast of characters, genuinely emotional, and actually some innovative gameplay. Like, actually fighting in zero gravity was something that was never really seen before. We got a little taste of it in Call of Duty Ghosts, but it was done on a whole other level here. On top of that, we also got dogfights in this game. Actually, you had your own ship called the Jackal, and you could fight around and have like fighter jet fights in it, but in space, and that was awesome. You also had your own massive command ship that was kind of served as the hub world of the game, which was unlike any hub world we had before, and I really love that too. I just think that everything about Infinite Warfare's campaign was perfect, and I just think it's so sad that people didn't give this game a shot, because honestly, if you go back and play this game, I think you'll actually be surprised by how great it is. Now, the multiplayer, definitely the weak link of the game. I do feel like the multiplayer isn't the strongest, and I wasn't super invested in the multiplayer of this as I have been in others, but if you liked what they did in Black Ops 3, it's very similar in Infinite Warfare, and again, similar to the campaign, the multiplayer does do some innovative things. Like, there is zero gravity maps, which is unlike anything we've done in Call of Duty before. That was very unique and very different at the time. And also, these space maps, you know, fighting on different planets and stuff. Like, again, it's out there, it's bizarre, and I understand why a lot of people felt like this was almost a betrayal of the Call of Duty series. But given where the series was at this point, you know, the series had already been set in the future for many years by this point. How far afield was it to actually do a space game? I don't really think it was that far afield by that point. It's not like this game went from being a World War II shooter to a space shooter, you know, instantly in a flash. You know, it kind of built to this, and I feel like that it kind of earned that build. And for me, Infinite Warfare completely paid off with all that, and it also did deliver Infinity Ward's first attempt at doing zombies, and while it wasn't a touch on what Treyarch does, it was still a fun mode to keep me entertained for a while when I wasn't playing the multiplayer or was finished with the campaign. Yeah, sure, it's not incredible, but it did the job, and it was fun, and it was entertaining for their first attempt. I feel like Infinite Warfare is just so deeply underrated, and I really feel like that this game just was completely shut out by the gaming community just based on that reveal trailer, and when it actually came out, it was just dead on arrival, which was a huge shame. Advanced Warfare, similar to Infinite Warfare, is one of the most underrated games of the series, and I cannot stress enough how much I loved this game. Advanced Warfare for me really kind of set me up for a false illusion, because I came out of it thinking, wow, Sledgehammer, where have you been? You've been sort of hiding amongst Modern Warfare 3 all your life, and now you've come out and delivered one of the best Call of Duty games in recent years. And, you know, they came out afterwards, did World War II, which is at the bottom of this list. But Advanced Warfare for me was just an incredible turn for the series. I could not believe how much fun this was. I remember when it was announced, I thought to myself, okay, this is different, this is interesting. They're actually doing something really crazy here. I mean, we had seen the future stuff before in Black Ops 2 and a little bit in Ghosts, but this took it to a whole other dimension. The advanced movement system that was introduced in this game was unparalleled, and I think it is so much fun to fly around as a soldier in this game with your jetpack abilities and just wreak havoc. Now, the campaign of this game, while a little bit tarnished by the fact that it does feature an actor who is no longer talked about, it's still a really exciting, fun campaign. While one of the shorter ones, it's an absolute blast. And again, it's different. It feels unique. It feels unlike the other games in the series because of the advanced movement system and also the exosuits and all their abilities and powers that you're able to play around with throughout the game. It makes each mission feel unique. It makes each mission feel different. And depending on how you customize your exosuit and what you want to do with it, each player's playthrough of the campaign is going to feel different from the last and different from one another's, and that is a really unique part for this game. And also, the different abilities just means that there's a lot more options throughout the campaign. You know, you're able to do a lot more things. There's a lot more exciting opportunities for action sequences because it's not just a typical run and gun like we saw in the previous year's Ghosts. I do feel like Advanced Warfare really nailed home the idea of innovation for this, and similarly to Infinite Warfare, people kind of disregarded this because people thought it was a bit too silly and a bit too stupid, but I feel like if you actually gave it a chance, you'll realize that this is actually a really unique and different Call of Duty game that even stands up even today. And I think the campaign, while it's not exactly super memorable from a story perspective, it's very similar to the likes of Modern Warfare 3 really in terms of its campaign and sort of where it ultimately ends up. I do feel like that Advanced Warfare was a really unique Call of Duty game and one that I absolutely loved playing through in its campaign. The multiplayer is one of my favourite multiplayers in Call of Duty, and this is easily some of the most successful I've ever been at Call of Duty multiplayer. I got to Prestige 3 on this game, which is definitely the highest I've ever gotten to Prestige-wise, and that was, you know, instantly a sign to me that I love this multiplayer and I was super into it. The advanced movement is on full display here, and because even though in the campaign the jetpack abilities aren't always there, in the multiplayer it's always turned on, and it's just so much fun. And I know that it's not for everybody. I know a lot of people don't love the advanced movement in the multiplayer. A lot of people found it a bit too crazy and a bit too wild, and a lot of people prefer the Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4 style where it's a bit more toned down. But I just loved the crazy advanced movement. It just made it completely feel fresh and unlike what we played before, and actually made me feel like this campaign and this multiplayer was actually trying something new, and it felt like they actually really gave a trip to actually try and make this different, and that was what I really appreciated. And the third mode, you know, the third mode was definitely a bit of a weak link here, you know, the Exo Survival mode, which eventually got transitioned into Exo Zombies. It's fine. It's basically just zombies, but the zombies have exosuits. It's fine. It's not particularly great, but the campaign was solid, the multiplayer was fantastic, and it's truly a very different one with great maps too, like really strong maps that I hadn't really expected to be as good as they were. Again, given the fact that this was Sledgehammer's first time at doing a, you know, of them being a full lead developer on a Call of Duty game, I think they did a smashing job. I think they really did, and I think it really showed that they had the potential. Again, I don't know what happened with World War II, but for me, Advanced Warfare really set them up as a true rising star among the Call of Duty development team. And, you know, this was also the first Call of Duty game since Modern Warfare that had a full 3-year development cycle, and that also really showed with the quality. This was also like the first true next-gen Call of Duty game as well. Obviously, Ghost was on next-gen consoles as well, but it kind of was more designed for the previous generation. This one was designed for PS4 and Xbox One in mind, and there was a graphical upgrade here. It just felt so smooth and natural, and overall for me, Advanced Warfare was just incredibly surprising and incredibly memorable. I thought I was going to like it, I didn't think I was going to love it, but I ultimately loved it. My number one has to go, though, to Modern Warfare 2019. While I understand that Modern Warfare can be a little controversial among some Call of Duty players, I think Modern Warfare is undeniably the best game in the series, honestly. Even though it's not my personal favourite, I do feel like Black Ops 2 is always going to remain at the top there. Modern Warfare, for me, it's undeniable. I think it's easily, hands down, the best game in the series. Modern Warfare was a true revolution, and one that I didn't expect to be as great as it was. I mean, I was excited for Infinity Ward to go back to the Modern Warfare series, you know. I was excited to go back to the modern era of shooters, as we'd had taken a break from that for a while. But wow, I did not expect this game to be as fantastic as it was. The campaign, again, maybe the best in the series. It's so good. It's short, yes, but as I've said many times before, I do not give a hoot if a game is short. As long as it's great, that's all I care about, and for me, Modern Warfare was more than great. I think that this campaign, it was suspenseful. The gameplay, it actually felt fresh because of how revamped it was. There were so many features and, you know, little tweaks that they brought in that just made it feel so natural, and the movement felt so real. It was just I know I've said this a lot in this video, but it was unlike the other games in the series. It truly was. Like, Modern Warfare does not feel like the other games in the series, just from a mechanics perspective, from an engine perspective. It doesn't feel the same. It felt new, it felt real, and a true revolution and a true step up from what we had seen previously. And that campaign had great characters. Of course, it brought back Price, and we also had Kyle. We also had the American soldier, his name is escaping me from right now, and also Farah as well, who was a fantastic character. This kind of told a very real and impactful story. Even though it was a made-up Middle Eastern country, it was of course very reflective of what's going on in the Middle East right now and what has been going on in the past decade. It was just a very real, telling story that was just so easy to get invested in and so easy to get lost in. I couldn't believe how great it was. And again, the suspense of it, you know, really going back to Modern Warfare, really felt like they had really brought back in so many of the fantastic elements that made Call of Duty what it was, and it just upgraded it to the 10th level. It was just so unique and so much fun and so special. The multiplayer is just a true different style of multiplayer than what we had seen before. Again, these little tweaks and little things they brought in, like opening doors, leaning, mounting. There were all these new elements that really have become part of my Call of Duty brain. So now when I'm playing Cold War and I'm not able to do those things, it really annoys me, because that's just kind of how I play now because of how much multiplayer I played in Modern Warfare. But when playing Modern Warfare, it just felt different. It felt so new and genuinely, you know, futuristic while also being modern at the same time. I just loved everything about the multiplayer. The only thing I don't like about the multiplayer is the maps. I feel like the maps are so boring in this game. There's not one I love, really. Like, apart from like Shipment, which is pretty fun, but even then that's a remake of Modern Warfare, of the original Modern Warfare map. Apart from Shipment, which again isn't even an original map for this game, the maps are so horrendously boring and they're all the same, really. I feel like other than the maps, this multiplayer is just fantastic and probably the best in the series as well. Again, I loved Advanced Warfare. I got to Prestige 3 on that game, but Modern Warfare doesn't have Prestiges, so I'm not quite sure which one I actually got more out of. I think it was Modern Warfare though, just because of how much I played it with friends, but oh wow, I just love Modern Warfare. And then the side mode wasn't good, to be fair. That is definitely the weak link of the game modes here. Like the Spec Ops, you know, kind of co-op mission thing was definitely a bit tacked on. It wasn't exactly what we wanted from, you know, the return of, like, we thought we were going to get the return of Spec Ops. It wasn't really that. It was definitely a bit underwhelming. But this game does deliver Warzone, which is, you know, undeniable in terms of its impact. You know, Warzone has become huge, and even though, you know, I said it when I was talking about Black Ops 4, I don't care about Battle Royale in the slightest. I think Battle Royale is just a silly mode, and I don't care about it. I find it very boring. I know that a lot of people really enjoy it, and a lot of people really love what Warzone offers. Again, it's just a personal thing for me. I don't care about Battle Royale in general, so no matter what game it's in, I don't really care about it. But I know a lot of people love the Battle Royale here in Modern Warfare. So for me, Modern Warfare is just a true masterclass, and again, a Call of Duty game unlike any other. It was a true revolution. You know, I spoke about how Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare really did revolutionize the series and really innovated in a lot of ways, but Modern Warfare does it in a lot more of a subtle way. Modern Warfare, while it doesn't have any of these massive ideas or, you know, big concepts, it just refined the gameplay and really upgraded it, so it felt like they had truly taken so much care in crafting the game, and it just felt like they really tried to make this the most realistic and most surreal Call of Duty game we've played so far, and that came down to the mechanics, that came down to the engine, that came down to the graphics. This is definitely the most graphically impressive Call of Duty game in the series, and overall this game left such an impact. And even though, as I said, I'm enjoying Black Ops Cold War, there's a part of me that still wants to pop in Modern Warfare and just continue to play that because of how great it was. So for me, that is how this list plays out, and Modern Warfare is not only the top of this list, but in my opinion, the best Call of Duty game in the history of the series. So there you have it, guys. There's my ranking of all 8 Call of Duty games from this generation. What do you think about this list? Make sure to let me know your own ranking in the comments down below. Very interested to hear how you rank these, because I know that everyone's going to have a very, very, very different ranking. But let's make sure we keep it civil in the comments. And as always, if you want to see more gaming content like this and more gaming videos and rankings and everything in between, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads from me. And I hope to see you guys again next time.